Hi, dears. This is a lecture on the essay Feminist Politics Where We Stand by the American author Bell Hooks. And this is prescribed in your gender studies paper of 6th semester BA English. So, first, let us look at the author Bell Hooks. So, this is Bell Hooks, the author, academic, and activist. Her original name is Gloria Jean Watkins. She was born in 1952 and died in 2021. She was born to a working class African American family in Kentucky, and she was one of the six children born to Rosa Bell Watkins and Theodis Watkins. Her father, Theodis Watkins, was a janitor, and her mother worked as a maid in the homes of white families. Right from her young age, she was a very avid reader. She was especially a fan of the poetry of Wordsworth, Hughes, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Gwendolyn Brooks, etc. And she was educated in the racially segregated public schools. And after her schooling, she graduated from Stanford University. Then she took her MA in English from the University of Wisconsin, and she also took her PhD from the University of California. When she started writing, she assumed the pen name of Bell Hooks. And you can see that she preferred to spell it in small letters, in lowercase letters. This was because she intended to focus her attention on her message rather than herself. So, wherever you find the name Bell Hooks, it is always written in all small letters, lowercase letters. And through her writings, she examines the connections between race, gender, and class. And she has also explored the different perceptions of black women and black women writers. And we also see that she had established a support group for black women, and that was called the Sisters of the Yam. And then we see that at the age of 19, when she was doing her MA, she began writing. And she first published her full-fledged book in the year 1981, and the title of the book is Ain't I a Woman? Black Women and Feminism. And the title of her first book, Ain't I a Woman, that was taken from an essay or a speech by another famous feminist activist named Sojourner Truth. She was inspired by her speech, and it is from there that she took this title, Ain't I a Woman? And when we look at her writings, we see that she has published more than 30 books, ranging in topics related to feminism, patriarchy, then black women, black men. Then she has written many self help books. She has written autobiographical works, then books related to film criticism, cultural criticism, then sexuality, all these things. So she has explored a wide genres of writing. And from these, some of her very notable works are uh, Feminist Theory from Margin to Center, then Talking Back, Thinking Feminist, Thinking Black, then another book related to film criticism, Real to Real, Race, Sex, and Class at the Movies. Another work about, again, feminism. It's titled Where We Stand, Class Matters. Then several autobiographical works. Significant one is Bone Black, Memories of Girlhood. And then another one is Wounds of Passion, A Writing Life. So these are some of her very notable works that came up in her literary career. And she, apart from writing, she was also working as a professor, English professor at various universities like University of Southern California, then Yale University, uh, New York, City College of New York, etc. So, this illustrious career of bell hooks as an author, educator, critic, theorist, feminist activist, etc., that came to an end in the year 2021. When she was aged 69, she died from kidney failure. So, this is an all round biography of the author Bell Hooks. Now, let's proceed to the essay Feminist Politics Where We Stand. Now, this essay is actually a chapter taken from her book Feminism is for Everybody. This book was published in the year 2000. Now, the central idea of this book, Feminism is for Everybody by Bell Hooks, is that feminism as a movement is not just for women, but it is for everyone. And in this book, she argues that feminism is a movement for gender equality, okay, and that it should benefit all people regardless of gender. So it should affect all people, it should benefit all people. So it is just not a woman's issue, but it is a social, political and economic issue that affects everyone. So through this book, she attempts to define feminism as a political viewpoint accessible to everyone. And then, as we move on to the essay, we see several key concerns discussed in the essay. The first one is that feminism is a political ideology that seeks to dismantle the patriarchy and all forms of oppression. That means feminism as a movement focuses on breaking down the system called patriarchy. And what is patriarchy? Patriarchy is something that gives power and privilege to men over women. So, feminism wants to dismantle, destroy all such forms of oppression, be it oppression based on gender, be it racial oppression, be it class wise oppression, any form of oppression, feminism wants to dismantle it. And it wants to create a world where everyone is treated fairly and equally, regardless of their gender, race, or background. Okay, so this is the first concern that Hooks discusses in this essay. Secondly, she states that feminism must be more inclusive and intersectional. That means feminism should include and address the experiences of all women, regardless of their race, class, religion, sexual orientation, abilities, talents, etc. So it should include and intersect. That means it should touch upon all social, historical, cultural, gender based aspects. The third major concern discussed in this essay is that Bell Hooks criticizes the early feminist thinkers or the early feminist movements for not including women of color, working class women, or queer women in their efforts to achieve gender equality. These groups, these black women or working class women or queer women, they have been historically left out of or ignored by mainstream feminism. So Bell Hooks makes such a critique or makes such a criticism with the aim that the movement called feminism should become more inclusive, and it should also be aware of the different experiences of oppression suffered by all these categories of women. Okay, so that is the third major concern discussed in the essay. And lastly, she states that by paying attention to the experiences of women who have been left out of mainstream feminist movements, if we center on their experience, if we include their experience as well, feminism can become or better achieve its goals of creating a fair and just society for everyone. And it stops to become a movement that is for some people. On the other hand, it becomes a movement that touches the lives of all or many. Okay, so these are the key concerns that we are going to discuss in this essay. So now let's move on to a detailed analysis of the essay. Now, at the very outset itself, she touches on the problem. What is the problem? The problem is that feminism as a concept, as a philosophy, is misinterpreted. That means people have misunderstood or misrepresented the goals and principles of feminism. Now, how can this happen? Now, this can happen when people have a limited or inaccurate understanding of what feminism is. Okay, people fail to understand what feminism actually is, or it can happen when they intentionally twist the meaning of feminist ideas. That can also happen. See, people may intentionally distort the meaning of that movement. So anyway, in order to understand feminism, we need to have a very accurate information uh, about the movement, and we need to promote an understanding of feminist principles to other people as well. So at the very beginning itself, Bell Hooks gives us a definition of feminism, of what this movement is about. And this definition is taken from her text, Feminist Theory from Margin to Center. Now, the definition is this: feminism is a movement to end sexism, sexist exploitation, and oppression. Okay, this is her definition. Feminism, what is feminism? It is a movement to end sexism, sexist exploitation, and oppression. So, we need to know what is this sexism. Sexism is simply the belief or behavior that one gender is superior to another gender. Okay, usually it is propagated that the male or the masculine gender is superior to the feminine gender. So this attitude or belief or behavior is called sexism. So if we have this sexist mentality, our actions, our thoughts, everything will be directed in that way. So in a sexist society, you can see the unequal treatment and opportunities given to the different genders. And this sexism can be manifested in various forms. It can be verbal, it can be physical, it can be institutional discrimination, anyway. And we can see several everyday instances of sexism. For example, that girls should play with dolls and boys should play with cars and guns. Girls should not roam around late night, like boys should not cry. Girls should marry early. That the female brain is very creative and imaginative or passionate, and the male brain is logical, technical, such things. Boys are good at maths and girls are good at arts. That pink is a girl's color. All these statements are examples. So, from such attitudes, we tend to stereotype that this is what a woman is, or this is what a girl is, or this is what a boy is. Okay, so this can lead to exploitation and oppression. So basically, feminism is against all this. Feminism is basically aimed to end sexism. So in order to understand feminism, we also need to understand what is sexism. That now we have understood. So this is what Bell Hooks tells us about, or this is how she describes feminism. And then she tells about the misconceptions about feminism that has been propagated. Now, here she takes the case of United States. Now, in United States, there's a common misunderstanding that feminism is always, or feminism is only about women seeking to be equal to men. So this is what that has been propagated widely in US, that feminism is always and only about what? About women trying to be equal to men. And she finds that the reason for this misconception of feminism is the patriarchy. Is the patriarchy of America. The patriarchy is propagating such misconceptions about feminism. And they are using the medium of mass media. Media is mostly patriarchal. It is the patriarchal symbols or patriarchal messages that is being propagated. You take the case of film, cinema. Cinema is a very patriarchal industry. You take the advertising industry, you take the newspapers, you take any other popular forms of media. All this is handled mostly and mainly by men. So you always have this patriarchal ideology being propagated through these mediums. So here also, she says that the patriarchal mass media represents feminism as an anti male group. So what does they say? They say that all these feminists, what are they? They are just anti-male activists. They don't like male. They hate male haters. And their primary focus is on gender equality. That means they have to get everything in equal terms related to men. Be it equal wages, equal pay, or equal job opportunities, sharing household chores, parenting. So, in all these fields of activity, man and women should contribute equally. So, this is the idea that is propagated through the mass media by the patriarchal system. And she tells that there is also a religious backup because American society is predominantly Christian. And within that system, within that religious system, there is a belief that God has created women to be subordinate to men in the domestic household. So this belief is also adding on to this sexist attitude. Okay, so these are the misconceptions that is being propagated about feminism. What is it? That the first thing is that feminism is only about being equal to men. And secondly, she says that these misconceptions are propagated by the patriarchy of America. And the patriarchal mass media is the medium through which such misconceptions are propagated. They propagate the idea that feminism means being anti male. And they also tell that feminism only focuses on gender equality. That means having equal wages, equal job opportunities, sharing household chores, and parenting. And then she tells, even from a religious point of view, also, you have this sexist attitude stating that women are always subordinate to men. So, this is how feminism is misrepresented in a main stream pattern. Okay, moving on to the next idea discussed in the essay. Now, in this part, she tells us what feminism actually is. Okay, feminism aims to end sexism. That means she says that feminism is truly about dismantling patriarchy and bringing an end to sexism. So, all those sexist attitudes that is prevailing in society, all those sexist attitudes that is propagated in society by patriarchy, feminism aims to stop all this. It is the patriarchy which is sending wrong messages about feminism. So, feminists try to stop that. They definitely ask for equality between men and women. It is not that they are hating men or they are anti male. It is not like that. But they say that we should have equality between the genders. And she reminds us that what was the objective for forming such a philosophy, for forming or the motivation for starting such a movement. It was created because of the unfair treatment women faced from the male dominated society. That was the reason why this movement came up. The reason for feminism was the unfair treatment women faced by the male dominated patriarchy, male dominated society. And because of this movement, several distinctive changes have happened in society. Several attitudes have changed for, of course. The number of women in the workforce that has multiplied, that has increased. In many families, the sole breadwinners are now women. Okay, but despite all this, even now, in this 21st century, the society still holds the belief that the male is dominant. Even within the family or even within the domestic sphere, also, there is this conception that man is superior and woman is inferior. So, this sexist attitude or this dominant patriarchal attitude, that is what feminism is fighting against. They want to end that attitude, they want to change that attitude. They want to change that thinking that exists in the minds of both men and women. It's not that only men are thinking that we are superior and women are inferior. There are women also who think that men are superior and women are inferior. So that sexist attitude should be changed. That is what the feminists are striving for. So in this part, she's telling us what is the main or the central or the core principle of feminism. So it's basically about promoting equality. Hmm? Both genders, they should be viewed in equal terms. That is what they are striving for. But at this point, we should also understand that I have added a quote here that feminism does not glorify or support powerful women that do horrible things. It's not like that women do any nasty things, any dirty things, and you support it in the name of feminism. It's not like that. The central idea of feminism is that the equality of the sexes. Okay, so that is this part.